Joining us today on day two of the David Pakman Show in high definition is Sam Evans. Sam was a contributor to our first Indiegogo campaign where we were raising funds to convert the show to high definition. So Sam, thank you so much for your contribution. You're wearing the David Pakman Show t-shirt. You're checking all the boxes I'm seeing.
That's right. I am a David Pakman Show member, and I also use the Amazon.com link that's on your website every time I shop there.
Well, we of course appreciate it. How did you originally come across our show?
I originally heard your show by listening to Jay Tomlinson's Best of the Left podcast, and it was about a year and a half ago, maybe, and there was a clip in there, and you were talking about some religion issue, and I had never heard of your show. I've never heard of you, but I said, this is pretty interesting. This guy is talking in a conversational tone about an issue that I agree with, and it's important to me. So I did some internet searches and I found your program, and a couple months later, after listening to it by podcast, I became a member, and I've been a member since.
Awesome. Yeah, it's funny. We actually get a lot of people who find out about our show from Jay's, and Jay's a friend of mine, but I guess I should be more aware that he's sending a lot of people in our direction, because it's not an uncommon story. So what other shows do you watch or listen to?
I definitely listen to Free Speech Television. I know that you have your show broadcast on that. I'm a big fan of Mike Malloy's show, and Norman Goldman are a couple shows that I like to listen to. I have a serious internet radio subscription, so I listen to a lot of the left channels that they offer. Where I live here in Washington, there are no liberal stations on this part of the state, so everything that I'm able to listen to is pretty much going to be online for me.
Right. Yeah. Do you find that did you used to listen to regular radio when there were progressive shows, and now just because a lot of the stations are gone, you're going online?
Definitely. Previous places I've lived at in Utah, I lived there for 5 years, and there were no progressive stations there at all, so I had to listen to it online. And then before I moved to Washington, I lived in Anchorage, Alaska, and there was one progressive station there. And then, one day they just went away and became a sports format. And it's happened all across the country. It's happened in Portland. It's happened in Seattle. So if people like me do not get involved and become members and support programs like yours, then basically they're going to go away. And that's not good for our democracy whatsoever.
Yeah, it's like, on the one hand, and we've talked about this before, on the one hand, there's kind of the upside that there's independent shows that don't have to rely on the big commercial radio stations. But at the same time, that's still where a lot of the advertising dollars are spent. And for people who don't fully get what the business model is for a lot of those stations, they say, well, just turn down that money and get funding elsewhere. But it's very difficult because there are so many systems that are in place, these kind of grandfathered in systems that are spending ad dollars on the commercial radio stations, which, like you just said, they don't exist when it comes to progressive talk in a lot of parts of the country.
Yeah, that's right. It's easy to just say, well, I'm going to wait for my local network to offer a particular program that I'm interested in. But, if the money's not there for that local station, then they're not going to do it. But for those people that do have progressive radio stations in their towns, you need to make sure that the people that run that station know that you support them and that you support the advertisers that advertise on that station, because that's how they're going to continue going. And then obviously, if you don't have a station like that in your local area, then just become a member of the podcast, or whatever it is that's important to you. Become a member, because the power in numbers is what we have, and if there are no numbers, then there will be no progressive media anymore.
For sure. So is there anything, give me it from an audience perspective, what's the thing that you wish progressive shows were doing that they're not? It could be, topic that isn't being covered, or a type of story, or what would you like to see from progressive media that would make you more excited or more into supporting what's being done?
Interesting question. Something that you do that I think is fantastic is that it's certainly a more conversational tone. You talk about issues that nobody else talks about, or if they talk about it, it's just the these bobbleheaded network reporters that just read a teleprompter and then they all say the exact same thing. But what's important to talk about is, you know, if it's a local show that they're talking about local issues that people can actually get involved in. Um,
See, it's
you know, I
interesting
don't.
you say that because I've been saying for a while that I don't know that that model where the host just reads the entire show off of a teleprompter is really going to be that good for progressive media. I know that a lot of the MSNBC shows do it, and I just don't know that it's the most engaging way to draw viewers in and to kind of not only that, but to translate and send out the ideas. I just don't know that reading the show off of a teleprompter is the way to go.
I agree. That's what I'm saying. I don't like that when I see that on corporate networks. And your format is fantastic because when I listen to it, I actually, you know, it's a conversation and you're talking about issues in such a way that I would with a friend of mine and not, it's not a one-way conversation with you just talking to the screen. And if more people did that, I mean, you get incredibly involved with your listeners. You encourage them to call the show and post to Facebook or send you emails. And obviously, somebody who has a national show probably can't do that. But I mean, you have over 150 affiliate stations, and you're able to still keep in contact with your subscribers and your fans. So the closer you can get to the people that are actually supporting your show, I think the more they're going to support your show and wanted to pass that on to their friends.
All right. Well, good advice from Sam Evans. Like I said, Sam contributed to our first Indiegogo campaign, which allowed us to convert to high definition. Today is day 2 of high definition. So, Sam, it's been great to talk to you. Love hearing the audience perspective on what we're doing, what we're not doing, what other progressive media should be doing. And thanks again for your contribution. And we're seeing the fruits of that contribution here, day 2 in high definition. So thanks so much, Sam.
You're welcome, and I encourage everybody to be